It's really an honor to have a U.S. Congresswoman back with us. It's been since trot since we've had a congressman here. We just haven't had friendly congressmen in our area anymore. And one thing I like about Lisa McClain is that she was not a career politician who decided to run. She was a businesswoman, a successful businesswoman who decided to throw her hat in the ring, and that's really what it's all about. It's one of the things I liked about Trump and a lot of other candidates who come up through business, get a lot of world experience before they decide to do it. Lisa McClain is on a member of the Armed Services Committee, which unfortunately right now it's becoming very pertinent because of the perception of weakness that Biden is sending around the world is destabilizing the world. So it's unfortunately could lead us to war. And prior to Congress, she's a business person. She's also on the subcommittee of Civil Rights and Human Services and the Higher Education Workforce Investment subcommittees. So Lisa McClain, are you aware? Are you still there? You are right in the back. There. We really appreciate your coming, and because we don't have friendly we don't have enough Republicans here. And
I would agree. So, we'll change that.
So thank you so much, Lisa McClain. There's so much going on. And one thing I was wondering if you could talk about is something I've asked a lot of our Michigan legislators about all these people from the Mexican border that are being shipped to Michigan, or people from Afghanistan. It's being done so stealthy, like in the middle of the night. I've asked some of our state representatives here if they have any information. They say it's a federal thing. And then you hear about how our COVID numbers have been spiking. Is that a cause for it? All these people that may be infected being shipped to the country?
Absolutely contributes to it.
So if you could address that, we'd appreciate it, among other things.
Stand behind here.
Well, we've got you on our camera here, and
all right, this is going to be a real challenge for me because I usually don't stand still, and you can't see me over the lectern over here. So he doesn't want me to move. I can't move it around.
You can.
Can I? It's just easier for me if you don't mind.
But we do have a mic.
Can I do this?
Okay.
Already I'm causing problems. So, I'll go with this way because I'll trip. Can you see me now?
Can I clip this to you?
Yeah. Where's our IT? Come over here. You got it?
There we go.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming. I'm Lisa McClain. I am currently in Michigan's 10th district, but with the lines being redrawn, I will get northern Oakland County, and I'm very excited. Obviously, I want to earn your vote, and I want to be your congresswoman for the next cycle. But I think in order to do that, I think you should know where I stand and what I think about and how I operate. So I will apologize in advance. I don't have a big filter from my brain to my mouth. I am honestly working on that. But I got into politics because of my 16-year-old daughter at the time. And I do want to tell this story because I raised 4 kids and I built a business, which was great. I've never been involved in politics. Not student council president, nothing. So I apologize. If I have one regret, I wish I would have got in earlier. But we are sitting at Sunday dinner. And for those of you who know me, I'm Italian, so my kids better come home for Sunday dinner or they're going to be in trouble because mama's not going to be happy. And on occasion, people come to visit. It was this one particular Sunday, we were having Sunday dinner, and I was complaining about what I don't remember, but I was complaining about something. And my youngest daughter looked across the table, thank God she was at the other end of the table, and she looked at me and she said, well, Mom, you can either complain about it, or you can get in the fight and be part of the solution. That's what you tell me. And I was mad. But I went to bed that night, and Mike, my husband, who is actually here with me, we talked about it. And we said, why not me? Right? I'm not perfect. I don't know politics, but I do know common sense, and I do have an opinion because I sit on the couch every day while I'm watching Fox News and have an opinion, so I got in the fight. And I think I won because I think I had a really good strategy. Just be honest, tell the truth. I see the world from an economic lens. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I believe if you have a good economy, that the economy is the backbone of success. You have less crime, you have more charity, let's say it, you got more tax base, and it works. So yes sir, more opportunity.
Opportunity and freedom.
You are 100%. I believe in less government, and if government just stays in its lane, gets out of the way, and lets the free market work, it will correct its problems. And one of the things that used to frustrate me in my business was you had all these legislatures up there making policy, and they never contacted the people that they were making the policy for. And it drove me crazy. Now, I don't think people are bad. I don't think they got up and said, hey, how can I stick it to the businessman? Sometimes I think that, but for most part, but they never talked to us. And all of the policies that they put in place, I mean, they had so many unintended consequences that it was bad policy after bad policy. So enough about that. I won, and I think I won on good policy. I think I was a good candidate. I told the truth. If I don't know an answer, I'm not going to BS you. I'm just going to say I don't know, and I'll get the answer for you. So again, like I said, I'll apologize in advance. And I did this one thing that I think that we're missing in society today. And it's a really bad four-letter word. Anyone know what it is? Work. I worked. Now, part of my advantage is I do like to talk. Ask my husband. So you guys got about an hour and a half, I'll be done. I'll keep it short. But you just work and you get connected with the people. And for me, I'm not beholden to anybody, and that is really liberating. Because I don't need to be beholden to any group of people. I need to be beholden to you, my constituents. Not perfect. I know I haven't been perfect, but that's my job. So before I go into my speech, I want to introduce a couple people. Where's Kathy? Oh, there you are, right in front of me. I have a district director, is Kathy Verton. Kathy Verton's never been in politics either. She is my district director. And I don't know if I can say this, but so I hope I don't get in trouble. I hope no one's really. If you have questions, issues, concerns, or thoughts, I can say that? Okay. I'm still learning the rules of the game. We're here to serve you. We will answer the phone, and we will return your emails. And if you don't, you can call me. And I mean that with sincerity, is if it's a VA issue, if it's an unemployment issue, if it's just you want to complain, call us. Our office is here to serve you. So with that, let me give you a little bit of briefing about what's going on in Congress right now, and I'll pick up on the immigration piece. And again, I hope I don't offend anybody, but I probably will, so again, I'll apologize in advance. I believe in immigration. We were a country born and built on immigrants, but we did it the right way. And to me, I use a lot of analogies. Sunday dinner, you are welcome, and anyone is welcome, right? In fact, we adopted our fourth son that way. True story. But you come in the front door, you knock on the front door, I open the door and I let you in. I vet you. Everyone's welcome. But if you come in my front door and I don't know you, you're probably going to be met with something a little bit different, and it might be looking down the barrel of a gun, because if you come in my house unwanted, it's not going to work. That's why I lock my doors at night. That's why you lock your cars. That's the difference between legal and illegal immigration. And I couldn't figure this out. So I actually did something because I'm not a real good, I don't learn well reading. I have to go down there, I have to touch it, I have to feel it, I have to see it. So I actually have been to the border twice. I've been to Colombia and I've been to Panama. And I can assure you, it is hypocrisy at its best. It's modern day slavery, and I'm not saying that for shock value. I'll explain it to you. Nobody comes into this country from the southern border unless they come in with a cartel. So it's not like my husband and I and my 4 kids are trying to look for a better life, so they're coming to America. That's not the case. You have to pay the cartels money. Right? Now, I'm all for people coming over to get a better life. But you pay the cartels money, roughly about $7,000 a person. And here's the kicker. If you have a child, you get to come over and you get to claim immediate amnesty. Right? You come over. So then you come over. So who has children? Who has daughters? Who has daughters? Okay, so you have a daughter, right? So you and your wife come over, you pay the cartels money, you get your family over, right? I mean, let me just tell you what it is. We put you on a plane, we give you $600, we might ship you somewhere like maybe even Michigan in the dead of the night. We release you into the interior of our country and we may never see you again. I mean, amazing. 50,000 people missed their court date so far this year. Gosh, that's really odd. You mean illegal people don't follow the legal system? That's really weird. Huh. But then as a cartel, I come back and I say, what's your name, sir?
Sam.
I say, Sam, hey, you know that $7,000 you owe me? I need it. And you say, but I don't have it, Lisa. I said, no problem. Your 7-year-old daughter, I'm going to take her and I'm going to bring her back and I'm going to use her as a child to help foster other illegal men, mainly, come through. So they are using the children. I swear, I'm not kidding you. They are using the children. They will take your daughter, take her back, give her to another family, or I can't say family, another, typically it's a male, or a couple that doesn't have children, but it's typically a male. And he says, yeah, this is my daughter, but it's really your daughter. And I will share with you the travesties, the rape that is going on, the human trafficking that is going on makes me sick to my stomach. And I'm telling you, it's happening. I've seen it with my own eyes. What I also don't understand is the hypocrisy. Can someone explain to me, right? When they come over illegally, do we give them a COVID test? No. Do we mandate the vaccine? No. Do we ask for legal paperwork from them? So when I was down in Texas, I flew back. And I have the photos. If you look at my website, they're on there. I have the photos. Now, when I come back from Mexico, guess what I have to have? Negative COVID test, which is fine. I have to have my ID to get on the plane. Right? Yeah. Makes sense?
You're okay with them requiring a COVID test for people?
I didn't say that, sir.
You just did.
Well, perhaps you should listen, because that's not what I said. What I said was let me help you. I'll help you. I'll help you understand it. I said what the rule is right now, if I come over, please get me on flight such and such. They give you a piece of paper and they say, please report in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. What we're doing at the southern border is not only human trafficking, but it's hypocrisy. And the other thing, they know what they're doing it in the dead of night. And if you have to do something in the dead of night, probably shouldn't be doing it. It's kind of like when your kids crawl out the window at 2 in the morning. I mean, mine never did that. Oh no, mine never did that, right? They're doing something they shouldn't be doing. Why can't we be truthful and transparent about it? And why don't we have the same rules for everyone?
It's criminal and unconstitutional.
100, and the Supreme Court even says it's unconstitutional. But this is, part of it is, I think why it got this way is because Trump put his policies in place, and they were good policies. Not perfect, okay? No policy is perfect, but they were good policies. They kept Americans safe, and they put Americans first, right? Because Trump put the policy out there, I think this administration scrapped everything. And now, in one short year, look at what has happened. So I was also one of the first people to go up to Adrian, Michigan, to see, we have unaccompanied minors in a facility in Adrian, Michigan. Roughly 200. Let me put it this way, it can hold 200. So, okay, and I don't want to make sure I don't misspeak. So roughly we have there was 200, and Kathy and I went up there. They moved, I actually was 197, so don't quote me on the number. Roughly it was 200 people. We went up there. No COVID test, remember, they don't have to have a COVID test. These are all unaccompanied minors. Here's the frustrating part for me. 28% of those people had COVID. Those young adults had COVID.
Or TB.
Or something. Now, here's the beauty. Here's the beauty. Anyone have small children here? Does anyone know what the parent-to-teacher ratio is in education? So if I'm a classroom teaching 4th grade, what's my parent-to-student ratio? 28, 27, maybe 30-ish, right? At this facility in Adrian, Michigan, that you all are paying for, it's an 8-to-1 ratio. Again, much like the hypocrisy, wouldn't we love to have an 8-to-1 ratio in our education? I would like that. It's very, very frustrating, and I think Americans are waking up to the hypocrisy, and that's what it is. So a lot of people say, well, what are you going to do? It's simple. Institute the policies that Trump had. They worked. They weren't perfect, but they worked. They worked. They knew if you wanted to come in this country, knock on the front door, go through the process, get vetted, and come in.
Border Patrol is now
You're right, sir. I was down at the border. They spend more time, and this is, my hat off to those border patrols, because they can't. We've taken the power away, just like we've taken the power away from the police right now. I wonder why crime is up. Gee, is there any cause and effect? If you take all the power away from the authorities and the police, and have more power in the criminals' hands, and you try to defund the police, really? Crime's going to go up? Gee, that doesn't take a lot to figure out cause and effect on that.
The probability of getting caught is much reduced.
Well, if you get caught, we can't. But here's the difference, and I will give my mom credit on this. When I was young and grew up, if the school called and said I was in trouble, I can assure you one thing: it was my fault. It was my fault. Now, we've reversed cause and effect, and it's very, very disturbing. So immigration is going to be something that's going to be haunting us for a long time, because I think there's close to 2 million people that are in the interior of this country. Forget about the fentanyl, but we have got to close our borders down. I mean, here's the craziest thing. Everyone said the wall didn't work. Well, not everyone. The Dems say the wall doesn't work. Where do you think people cross at the border? Where the wall isn't finished. Obviously the wall works, right? So we have a real issue with, I want to touch on a couple more things in DC. The vax mandates are out of control. And where I'm at is I don't believe in mandates at all. I believe that you know what's best for you and your children, not the President of the United States. So I will tell you, I've sent several letters, I've written several letters, I've introduced several bills. They are not seeing the light of day, even though the Supreme Court actually says it's not mandated. But I mean, what's the Supreme Court, right? This is coming from a president who said, yeah, I know this is unconstitutional at the eviction moratorium. And he said, but I'm going to do it anyways. Okay, I thought we were here to uphold the Constitution. But I think what's interesting about the vaccine mandates is I want to tell you one story. So when I was in D.C., in order to go into a restaurant, you have to have your vaccination card. Great. So I go into a restaurant, I want to get a pizza. So I go into the restaurant, I want a pizza. Great. Here's my vaccine mandate card, right? Okay, what else do you think they asked me for? ID. I said, what do you need my ID for? And they're like, well, to make sure that you are the person you said you are on this vaccine card. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Okay, so all right. I'm not saying I agree with it, but here's my ID. So I did a flashpoint last weekend with Andy Levin. And I said, you know where it's really baffling to me? I mean, really baffling to me. To get a pizza, I got to show my ID. But to vote, that's voter suppression. Well, what is that, pizza suppression, that I can't go get a pizza? I mean, come on. If it makes sense for me to show my voter ID to get a pizza, you should show your vote. You should show your voter ID. You should show ID to vote. Because guess what? If you have a right in this country, you have this other thing called a duty. And that's what we've forgotten. All we ever hear the other side talk about, it's my right, it's my right, it's my right. You're right. Do you have any duties? Any? I believe you do. And I believe if you have the right to vote, you have a duty to validate that you are a legal American citizen. Period. End of conversation. That's not a tough one. I want to make sure I hit everything before I get to questions. I serve on two committees, Education and Labor, which is extremely important to me. And I think they go hand in hand, because if we produce good, educated children, we give those children to the workforce and we give them an opportunity unlike any other opportunity in any other country. And remember, we are the country that people will risk their lives on and get in boats to try and travel over to live in America for a better opportunity. The other committee I serve on is the Armed Services Committee. And folks, I will share with you, you are watching what weakness breeds. You're watching it in Ukraine, with Russia. You're going to watch it with China and Taiwan, and you're going to see it with Iran. Weakness is not a good strategy. I mean, we still have Americans over in Afghanistan that we still need to get out. In fact, the first bill that I passed as a freshman in the minority was the gold medal bill. And it was bipartisan, and the president actually signed it to award the 13 fallen men and women soldiers that perished at in the Afghan war. It saddens me with our allies and our friends around the world that we're losing our ground. We're losing trust, and they're losing faith in us. And I hate to say it, rightly so. And again, I've been around the world and I've met with leaders, and I ask them this question all the time. Why was Trump different? Why was he different? And to a T, they've all said it to me like this. When the Democrats are in charge, we know their strategy. When the Republicans are in charge, we know their strategy. When Trump was in charge, he wasn't predictable. He was one bubble off center, and we didn't know what he would do. And that's why I think you saw people knew, love Trump or hate Trump. If he told you he was turning right, he turned right. I think the biggest problem and the biggest opportunity we have is I think we lost that independent vote. And they voted because they wanted unity in the party. And they believed Joe Biden when he said he was going to unify everything. Joe Biden hasn't kept one of his promises. Not one. And what I say, love Trump or hate Trump, if he told you he was going to do something, by God, he did it. He didn't say he was going to turn right and then he turned left. This president, you don't know what he's doing. So to me, I think it's important to elect people that have a backbone and a courage. And yes, do I think we need to unite? I do. And we have good candidates. And we need to remember who our enemy is. Our enemy is not within. And I'll say this, I'm going to end on this before I get questions. If you go on my Facebook, oh my God, I can't even let my kids read my Facebook. And half of it comes from the Democrats, but there are a few people out there that are like, oh my goodness, she's a rhino, she's a rhino, she's a rhino. If getting things done is a rhino, okay, guilty as charged. If having 100% scoring from the Heritage Foundation, guilty as charged. If voting not to certify the election and not to impeach our president is a rhino, guilty as charged. And you know what I love about those people? And I'm going to say this. You can't beat me on the issues. So that's why you have to call me names. And every time you call me name, guess what? I'm winning, baby. Because you can't debate me logically. You got to call me names. And that's what I teach my kids. Honey, I have 4 kids, but I taught this to my daughter. I said, if they're calling you names, baby, you're doing the right thing. Keep doing what you're doing. So with that, I'd like to stop.